on the Week 12 Eve, the Fantasy Football Show with Dr. Raj, as usual. But we have a little twist today. We have another IG account, Fantasy Suits, joining us, and we're going to do a 3-panel fantasy show for you. We're going to answer your fantasy questions, the Q&A like we always do. We're going to talk a little bit of running backs moving forward, rest of season. I did a show 2 nights ago talking about rest of season QBs, rest of season running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. Did an entire show. What's up, Steven? And we're going to talk, I think, about running backs. We might dip into all the categories, but we'll start off with the running backs and go from there. But Ugly Dude's in the house. Steven's in the house. Hopefully you guys are all getting the notifications. Last time they didn't go out. We've had 800 people in a live, Dr. Raj and I, on Saturday nights, and literally like 90 people because no one's alerted. So who knows what's going to happen tonight if people are getting the alerts. If you've got the alerts, let us know if you got them so we know what's going on. Dr. Raj, what's up?
So, Smitty, what's up, my man?
Glad to have you. And Fantasy Suits. I don't know how you want to be addressed on the show, by name or Fantasy Suits.
Call me Rob.
Rob,
keep it simple.
We'll call you Rob. We'll call him Rob.
My clients call me Suits.
Yeah, so
I don't charge you guys.
Interesting twist.
Yeah,
Rob is an attorney, and Dr. Raj is a doctor, and I'm a clown. So we've got like literally the perfect panel of people. I'm a clown because I went on Dr. Raj and I go live every Thursday night on IG, and I made the dumb moronic decision on a live full of 49er fans to say that I predict that the Green Bay Packers beat the 49ers. Not beat them bad or anything, just they sneak out a win.
Regardless, let's talk about this real quick. So before we get into you literally came into the live show full of my 49er faithful fans, and you told us that the Packers are going to beat the Niners. And at the end of the day, I almost didn't come live tonight because I'm still a little hurt. But the Niners are going to do what they got to do tomorrow, and hopefully they win, and I'll win my bet. We got a little bet going, by the way.
Well, yeah, you're in my house tonight, Dr. Raj, and my people are at least not going to blast me for it. So maybe your people are in the house, and they're going to get in here and get crazy. But
they might need to.
In all honesty, though, like you can even admit, this is going to be a fun game to watch. Tough game. Either
great.
team could possibly win this. They're 8-2. I mean,
8-2, 9-1, 2 great teams. First, they're both first place in their division. Sunday Night Football, anything can happen.
So Dr. Raj and I have a bet. If the Packers beat the 49ers this week, then Dr. Raj is going to come on, or he's going to go live. He's going to do a live stories video where he he's going to have Colin Kaepernick on, and he's going to say Smitty's the best fantasy analyst in the entire universe.
In the world. Yeah.
If the Packers lose, I'm going to do a live video on my stories that says that. What did we say I was going to say?
You're going to be dressed up. Or George Kittle.
Yeah, George Kittle's coming on. George Kittle's coming on and talking about how you're the best. What do you want me to say? Analyst or
I don't know, 49er analyst or fan page, something like that.
Yeah. Kittle. So it's either Kittle or Kaepernick is going to make this appearance. Depending on who wins or loses. We got a super chat from Mark. Mark says, okay, Smitty, I'm at the strip club, but my boy Lockett, good to go, right? Dr. Raj, what do you know about Lockett?
So Lockett, leg injury. He's supposedly ready to go tomorrow. Adam Schefter said he's not ruled out. But with the leg injury comes, a little bit of limited action. So take that with a grain of salt. He will probably play, but at the end of the day, is he a safe pick? It's hard to say. But Seattle's a good team, so if he goes out there, you do expect him to put up some stats. Just I would temper expectations with the leg injury, especially the leg injury that he may have had over the last couple weeks. But he did have an extra week to rest it up. So
Mark says he can't hear because he's in a club. So I'm gonna post this right here on the screen. It says he said he should be good, but temper expectations. He said, Mark.
That's it. And throw some dollars out there if you're at the strip club.
He throws more dollars at me.
Make it rain, baby.
Any legal? Want to step in here, Rob? Anything legal you want to add to this?
Yeah, my legal counsel is if you got him, you start him. Period. End of story. I get it. A little banged up, a little leg issue going on. It wasn't little at the time. It was really serious. Yeah, I get it. The dude was hospitalized. Like, People were flying out to see him, got private jet, flown home. But if he has no injury designation and you have Tyler Lockett, are you really going to bench him this week?
You're not going to bench him. Yeah, definitely not. I just would temper expectations a little.
Sure, absolutely. Fair enough.
Alan, I got a question here from Ocean. He says, Allen or Breeze, who are you going with this week, guys? Dr. Raj first.
I'll go Drew Brees.
What about you, Rob?
It's close. I mean, I really do like Allen, but this was the week that I really had to temper my expectations with Allen.
Yeah, matchup's bad.
Yeah, it's a really tough matchup. Drew Brees going up against Carolina. New Orleans has Carolina's number. Their defense has just steadily been declining.
Yeah.
And after, the Saints bye week, they got embarrassed. They came out. They finally showed, this is Drew Brees we're talking about here. And I think that rolls into this week against Carolina. Got to go Drew Brees.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree. I think you have to start Drew Brees in this situation. This is closer, definitely closer matchup, but you play the matchups on this, and Drew Brees, I just don't bench him.
Mm-hmm. Gurley or Hunt? Rob, what do you think on this one?
God, I love Hunt. I'm a Hunt fan. I mean, I need a kicker this week, so I picked him up off waivers. Sorry, didn't. Hunt is the kicking joke. Sorry, it's probably played out by this point.
And you kicked Dr. Raj off somehow right when you did that.
Did I?
I don't know what happened to him. Hold on.
Let's see if we can get him back.
Let's see if I can add him in. All right, I'm calling him back.
I will say this, though, is I was not a Kareem Hunt fan going into the season. Oh, he's coming back week 10. You're going to waste draft equity on this guy. You're going to keep him on your bench.
Yeah.
I was kind of a hater. And the past 2 weeks, dude's involved, even with Nick Chubb. Even with, the entire passing game kind of struggling, kind of coming on finally. But Kareem Hunt is a part of that, a part of why, the checkdowns have been on point.
Gurley's looking decent, though, as of the moment, but he's playing Baltimore. I think I'd probably lean Hunt if I wanted a safe, play. But then again, is he safer? I don't know. That's a tough one. I think I lean.
Is it Nick Chubb and Todd Gurley?
Yeah. No, Hunt and Gurley. Hunt
and Gurley. Oh, Kareem Hunt and Gurley. That's a close one. But honestly, I think Gurley is the play this week. I think they're slowly giving him a little bit more carries. I still don't like his knees. They're worse than some of the patients I see. But I think Gurley's the best play between those two.
Yeah. I'm gonna lean. I know he said Hunt was safer. I'm gonna say the opposite. Gurley feels probably safer. Hunt has probably more risk to maybe not get as involved as you would think because maybe Chubb is killing it, and they're like, we're not going to mess with this.
He's going to steal some of his thunder.
But I think Hunt has the ability to outscore Gurley and has a higher ceiling. So I think if you want a safe call, Gurley's going to get work, but he has a tough matchup, I think, against a hungry Baltimore defense, and I think that Hunt is kind of a sneaky play, but he could get you a lot. So I think go safe, go Gurley, but Hunt is a stud waiting to erupt if Chubb gets hurt, and Chubb is such an aggressive runner. I do think he could more likely to get hurt than the average running back.
Not only that, but going up against Miami this week, I can easily see a game script where Cleveland actually goes up in this one. They don't need, the plethora of checkdowns that they've needed to get Hunt involved. They can use Chubb in just grounding and pounding their way to a victory and killing the clock. So this actually might work against Hunt's favor because Miami is such a dumpster fire.
Yeah, they're terrible. And I just think that with the Ravens, they're good defense and good team. I think their Rams are just going to want to try to control the clock, run the ball, let Gurley kind of control the things. I feel like he might have a big game for them this week.
Mark, thank you for the super chatting. I got 2 more questions. Blake, thank you for the super chat. I didn't get a question with it, so if you have one, throw it in the chat and I'll drag it on screen here. Riff, thank you for the super chat, young man. Everett or Vance McDonald, and then he has another part, Hunt or Mixon. I'm going to say Mixon has been picking it up. I don't think I could bench Mixon for Hunt yet. I throw Mixon out there myself, and I think that I probably go Everett because I don't like that QB situation for Vance, and none of them are amazing, easy calls. But I think Mixon is just the guy you don't bench. What do you guys think on that? Mixon and Hunt, or Vance and Everett?
Go ahead.
I'm not a fan of Mixon. I'm really not. And I think that Pittsburgh's defense is super underrated, which is who, since he's playing this week. I'm not fading Mixon for the rest of the season. I think that he does have some decent matchups coming up. And he's shown himself to be a phenomenal running back. But there's been a lot of games that make my stomach kind of twist and turn. And in such an important week, I just don't know. I can go with Mixon, but it's definitely close. I agree with you on Everett, though. I mean, with Mason Rudolph at the helm, with the controversy surrounding this entire team, I'm not going to trust Vance McDonald this week. I'm going to go with Gerald Everett, even though they're playing Baltimore, who, like you guys were saying, they are not the easiest defense to go up against. Still go Everett in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Everett because with Mason Gate, Garrett Gate, Helmet Gate, whatever you want to call it, I just don't really feel confident with Mason Rudolph, throwing to Vance McDonald. He's probably the better player, but he's not the safer pick. I'd roll with Everett. And I'm going to agree with you, Lawyer, man. I just do not like Mixon this season, and
I hate
he's
Mixon.
Really burned a lot of people this year. I know he's starting to pick it up, but you're right. That Pittsburgh defense is a lot more people need to give them more credit than people really are, because that defense is actually really solid. When they played the Niners, I was having nightmares after the game. Even though we held on to win that game, it was very close. 5 turnovers. That defense is good. I'm not trusting Mixon this week.
And let me preface that, I don't know that you guys could probably find a bigger Mixon doubter than me, all offseason. What the hell are people doing drafting this guy in the first round and even the mid-second? But the reason and again, it's not an easy call for me. It's really 51% I'm going Mixon here. But
it's a tough one.
It's close. It is.
Yeah, it's because, though, that the only reason I like him a little more than I did, and I'm always fading him big time, was that the QB change means that they have to change that dynamic. It's been, they haven't been using him right. They haven't been, but when they bench Dalton and they're like, hey, we're going to have to run the ball more to protect this QB situation, which is going to need to be just nurtured, and they're not gonna just start unleashing the passing game. They're going to just lean on Mixon over and over. So I feel like the volume's going to be there, but I am not a Mixon fan at all. I own, in my 14 leagues that I do, I own 0 shares of Mixon. I cannot stand the guy, personal and professional. But next question. So I agree with you guys that Hunt is a sneaky play. I'd be okay with that. Smitty, can you talk about the fantasy relevant players in the Dallas-New England game?
Can he talk about the fantasy relevant
Of course
players?
I can. Dallas-New England. So, of course you never like any of your players facing New England. That's it goes without saying. Dak, Cooper, Zeke, Gallup, these are all guys that you can't bench, though. Maybe Gallup. If you own Gallup, you probably have him in your flex spot, and you might have a Kareem Hunt, something like that. But you don't bench Cooper if he's a go. He's been dealing with some injuries. But have you heard any word on Cooper, Raj?
Nothing specific, but I did hear a lot about Mohamed Sanu. He's definitely not playing this week, so unfortunate for the Patriots.
Fire up N'Keal Harry.
Yeah, so I was just literally getting to that. I said, honestly, a sleeper pick this weekend, little sneaky, N'Keal Harry. I think he might be a good flex play. As far as the Cowboys, I really do think they're going to score more points than people are going to give them credit. I know the Patriots' defense is all world. They're really good. But I think Zeke and Cooper are good plays. And I haven't heard anything bad about Cooper and his injury this week. I think you play him with confidence this week, and I think they're going to have a good game against the Patriots.
And on the flip side of that ball, by the way, on the Patriots side, with Mohamed Sanu out, Philip Dorsett, right? He's still in the concussion protocol.
Yeah.
So we put out a breakout, fake out episode every Friday morning. Our starts and our sits. My breakout of the week this week, James White. Look for him to get at least double-digit targets. They have no wide receivers left.
Yeah, nobody. Yeah.
He's going to be out wide. He's going to be catching checkdowns from the backfield. Tom Brady's going to be looking for him all game because he doesn't have anybody else to throw the ball to.
White's a sneaky good flex play this week. And then N'Keal Harry, like you said, and I was saying earlier, wide receiver 3, plug and play if you're desperate at all at wide receiver 3. I think N'Keal Harry. There have been quite a number of deep bold predictions on my bold predictions board this year because I do like there's 12 of them, and a lot of people judge my whole season off of this board. I do a lot more than these 12 predictions, but people like ride everything on it, and they've had Darrell Henderson on it, Monty, Singletary, and N'Keal Harry was one of the bigger ones, but is a dynasty prediction, so I have plenty of time for this to work out. But people are feeling like it hasn't been, on track, and they'd be right because he's been hurt. But I believe he shows flashes of what I predicted him to be, which was top 5 fantasy football wide receiver material within 2 to 3 years. I think that if he has a really, really, really good, finish this year, people are going to walk into next year feeling that vibe. Hopefully he stays healthy, but this guy is a Calvin Johnson meets Terrell Owens skill set wise. He has the ability to go up and get a ball better than anybody, I think, or will be better than anybody in the NFL soon. And what do you guys think about N'Keal Harry for the future? Do you think he can be a top 15 overall player, top 20? Not necessarily right away, but in time. Go ahead, Rob. You look like you're drooling to speak about this.
I'm excited about N'Keal Harry, and I almost hope that he doesn't have a solid end of season, because that will kind of like alert the media, let everyone know that N'Keal Harry is a thing. He's been sitting under Bill Belichick for a full year. He's been with Tom Brady. He's been a sponge. He's been soaking up information. He has the athleticism. He has the skill set. Now that he's able to pick up the NFL speed from the sidelines, again, I think this week he's a super sneaky play because he's had that opportunity. But a really big, really selfish part of me kind of wants him to just sputter out a little bit so that I can draft him with some kind of value next year before he's scared.
I agree on that. And me and you, Smitty, we've talked about N'Keal Harry in the past. I was huge on this guy when I was doing draft previews and scouting reports earlier last season for the Niners. He was one of the guys I wanted. Debo and N'Keal were my 1 and 2. I'm glad we got Debo because you can see what he's becoming. But N'Keal has that ability, his route running, his ability to separate, go up and jump, get that jump ball, the 50-50 passes, red zone ability. This guy has superstar written all over him.
Yeah.
And I agree. I kind of want him not to have like this crazy next few games because I want him to be a little bit of a sleeper pick next season. But at the end of the day, I think he can really tear it up the next few games, and people are going to be like, wow, this N'Keal Harry. No wonder Belichick was high on this guy and drafted him, as the second receiver in the draft. He is that special.
I hear Rob's, thought process, let's let him quietly fly in under the radar, but he's been so out of, touch of what am I trying to say here? He's been so out of relevance that I don't want him to fall further back, and behind. Like, who knows what Bill Belichick's capable of doing if this guy gets hurt? He moves on. When you get hurt, he moves on.
That's true.
And I don't want him to fade behind and not get showcased because Bill Belichick's also the kind of person that would trade him heading into the draft. Like he does that kind of stuff. Like you could just see N'Keal Harry get shipped off. And that could be a good or a bad thing depending on where he landed. But I'd rather him showcase it than not. But I get what you're saying. No. But you could trade for him on the cheap right now, like in dynasty leagues. And even if he has 2 or 3 really good games, he's still going to fly in under the radar heading into next year enough to where you might have to pay more than you would have. But I think he'll be rather cheap.
If the Niners do trade for him, or if the Patriots do trade for him, I'll tell you right now, the Niners will be on the phone.
Yeah, I hope that would be pretty cool. I'd like him. That'd be a good spot.
That would be pretty nice.
MT says, Smitty saved me from drafting Mixon. Yeah, I was so against Mixon. Took Dalvin instead. Dalvin was my top 5. Dalvin's in my intro, boys. And let me play it for you, just in case you forgot. All year long since like February or January, I've been playing this. How dumb would I look if Dalvin busted? Here we go. Top 5 running back. You're watching the Fantasy Football Show. Running back. Running back. Running back. Running back.
Killing me.
Oh man!
Thank God I put him in the intro, and it wasn't like Darrell Henderson.
I'm glad you put him in there. Yeah, it would have been really bad if he didn't.
I still believe I am 100% correct about Darrell Henderson's talent. It blows. It blows watching.
He just needs the opportunity.
A coaching staff not use the biggest home run hitting running back to exit college for as long as anybody can remember, because 60 years of college stats say that this guy's the number one player in college football history in yards per attempt. Number one in college football history. 7.8 yards per carry in back-to-back years. What are you doing, Rams?
I mean, if I'm Sean McVay, I kind of get it. Like, I'm sitting there. Shit, Todd Gurley, are you okay? Oh, shoot, you have arthritis in your knees? Like, are you going to be all right? All right, well, maybe we should find some kind of insurance policy, just in case. Like, we're probably not going to be able to use him. We're probably still going to have to trot Gurley out there a lot, but I want somebody who can, take a stronghold on this role. And that's what he did, and I can't really knock him for doing it, but as the fantasy community, I mean, it just sucks at our soul, because what Darrell Henderson could be on a team that could really use a running back, forget it. That dude's talent.
But Rob, they've had a chance to use him when Gurley's been out, and they haven't deployed him to the degree they should have, to test drive him. Let's see what this guy's capable of. Give him 15 carries in one game. They haven't. Gurley's been out a couple of those games, and it's like when Gurley goes out, Malcolm Brown somehow comes back. When Malcolm Brown goes out, Gurley. It's like the worst timing ever.
Why do you think that is, though? Why do you think that a genius like Sean McVay would avoid such talent?
I don't know that he's a genius.
I don't know if
sometimes
he's a genius.
I question his abilities now at this point, or his decision making, because he has such an amazing weapon that he's not using. He even said, "I'm going to use Henderson 12 touches a game." He's not. Half the time he hadn't even used him at all. So I feel like they've lied about how they're going to use him, just like a lot of teams are.
To me, it sounds like there might be something more to it, like practice, or just something behind the scenes that might just be coming to that's not coming to the forefront, that coaches and stuff they see, and they're just not giving him that opportunity. Because you're right, he has the skills that if they gave him the ball, if they let him tote that rock 12, 15 times, he'd go crazy. But and now that Gurley is coming back, they're kind of pot committed to him. But you're right, the few games that they didn't have Gurley in, and maybe there was something behind the scenes we didn't know, and they just didn't give him those carries, or they didn't feel he was ready. But I think eventually, if he does get those carries in that offense, he should be able to flourish.
Mark has a question here. 2 questions: Monty or Jalen Samuels? I don't know where your other question is, Mark. I'll have to look for it. But what do you guys think, Monty or Jalen Samuels? I'm thinking Jalen, he's guaranteed touches. Monty, we don't know what's going on. I want to say Monty. I think Monty, again, I'm not wrong about his talent. It's the usage, it's the coaching. But Samuels is locked and loaded, man. He's going to be a beast in this game, at least usage-wise. Yeah. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. Samuels is the pick on this one. He's a safer pick. He's going to get the usage. You don't know what you're going to get with Monty, like you said. And again, Connor, like we said, he's out. Told you guys, shoulder injuries, rough to deal with. So I think I'm confident with Samuels in this week.
Rob?
Agree on Samuels 100%. Montgomery is not far behind. You got Pittsburgh playing Cincy, great matchup. But you got Montgomery playing the Giants, great matchup.
You got Montgomery playing Nagy. His competition to Nagy in his decision making.
It's his own team.
It's his own team.
It's true. It's true. So don't get me wrong. I think that this is going to be one of Montgomery's better games of the season, which isn't really saying much. It's not, he hasn't exactly set the bar as high as we all hoped he would preseason. But I do think that this is going to be one of his better games. I'd still take Samuels this week for sure.
And Nick says that Benny Snell is healthy, bud. We'll see how much work he gets. I do like Snell a lot, but I don't know that they're just going to throw him to the wolves. But
no, I like Snell, but again, he's like way behind in development. He's missed so much time. He's still got to learn the playbook. I don't think he even
They may use him, but I don't think
they might. Maybe six carries that month, but he's not going to give you any fantasy relevance.
But don't think he can't become relevant in a couple weeks, though.
No,
but Dr. Rogers is right. He's not. I don't think he's taken much away from Samuels in this game. Let's see. Oh, the other question from Mark was Kittle, flex Kittle, or Debo Samuel. Oh, he's pulling at your heartstrings there.
No.
Or Montgomery. When I first said Kittle, you should have seen Dr. Rogers like, who am I going to tell him to play over Kittle? And then he's like, Debo.
I know.
It's like, damn. All right, let's let Dr. Raj answer this one. Since
throw it at me again one more time.
Kittle, Debo, or Monty? Pick one.
On a flex? Is this flex position, I'm assuming?
Yeah, flex, but rank them, actually. Rank all three in order.
I say Debo's your one, because even though he's limited because of injury, the way he's taken off these last couple of weeks, with Kittle coming back, you're still not sure how much he's going to have in his ability to come back because he missed 2 weeks with a very pretty serious injury in the knee. So there might be a little bit limitations there. Debo has really become a clear-cut favorite for the Niners receiving game, and they're going to have to throw. Packers don't have the greatest secondary. I think he could be a big-time target this week. I like Monty number 2, like we just talked about. He actually does have a good matchup this week, and I think he can really dominate as far as his gameplay this week. Like you said, this is probably going to be one of his better games. And with Kittle just coming back from injury, he's been limited in practice all week. That's my boy. I love him, but he's probably 3 in those rankings. But, he's number 1 in my heart.
Yeah, we know he is. Rob, what do you think on those 3?
I don't disagree with it. I would have no problem if you put Monty above Debo. Please hold your fire. I mean, It's one of those things where when you're looking at a flex position and you have a wide receiver and a running back, it's kind of difficult, especially with a guy like Montgomery who has been seeing a pretty decent amount of carries. I do expect the Giants to kind of sputter out in this. I think Montgomery is going to get all the opportunity in the world, but I love what I've seen from Debo also. So it's not easy for me to say Montgomery, but it would be like Montgomery and then Debo, and then Kittle would probably be somewhere over here, just like probably like 20, 25 spots below, given wide receivers, running backs, and tight ends.
I agree with that too. As far as Debo and Monty, I know I ranked Debo ahead, but it's very close. It's very close. And like I said, the matchup that Monty has this week it's incredible. You give him that matchup this week, and he can go off this week. So it's close.
Brissett's dad wants to ask you, what's worse, Dr. Raj, a broken thumb or a broken big toe?
Back with the injuries again last week. Yeah. Broken big toe, man. That's a very limiting injury. Broken thumb, it's a tough one. You lose your ability to grip things, but with that toe, you're not going to be able to you may not be able to walk depending on how bad the fracture is. So, and you're going to be limited. It's going to be painful because you got to stand on your feet. I would definitely say a broken toe is worse.
And while we're on the topic of like foot related injuries, what are your thoughts on Devontae Adams right now? Does he look 100%? Does he look close to 100% based on what you see?
I wouldn't say 100. Like I said, the last couple of weeks, those toe injuries are really pesky because it limits your ability to jump, your vertical ability, your speed, your cutting. It really takes a toll on a receiver, especially the ability to kind of do what he has to do out there, running, being able to run fast and then cut real quick to run those routes. I think he's close to 100 over the last couple of weeks. He's gotten a little bit more shiftier. You can notice it in his game, but I still think he's going to be limited. I'd say maybe he's 80% of what he is. But at 80%, Devontae Adams is still pretty good.
Where do you guys rank him in the rest of season? Like top 5, top 4, top 6?
I'd say outside, maybe top 10.
Close, though. Close to the top 10. Maybe just outside. Yeah. And only because of the injury. Yeah. I mean, if this guy was 100%, he'd be top 5, no question. But unfortunately, the injury has me concerned. You have guys, look, everyone's banged up at this point in the year. We all know that. But to be coming off a legitimate injury like that, it's tough to trust him right now.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like I said, that's why I said just outside the top 10 because of that injury. You don't know how much he's going to be able to give you on a week-to-week basis with that injury.
Rock is asking Coleman, Singletary, Scarborough, Amari Cooper, Tyrell Williams, Sterling Shepard. I need a running back 2 and 2 flex players. Let me read that again.
Yeah, I was going to say, let me write those down.
Yeah, I was just...
He needs a running back 2 and 2 flexes. I'm going to leave... Well, I guess... Coleman and Singletary and Cooper feel like, I'll say right away, that the top 3 players. But he has Coleman, Singletary... Scarborough, Amari Cooper, Tyrell Williams, Sterling Shepard. To me, Coleman, Singletary, and Cooper are the only calls. But
yeah, I agree. Coleman, Cooper, and Singletary. To me, out of those three seem like the picks to make on those.
I mean, Scarborough, we don't know what we're going to get out of him yet. And Sterling Shepard, I mean, I'm not going to expect a world right away.
No, and you absolutely shouldn't. Out of Sterling Shepard. I'd go even so far, and I know, Smitty, you and I were talking about Devin Singletary the last time that you and I had done an episode. I love the player. I hate his rest of season matchups, and he's a guy that I can get on board with any day. And even given the matchup, I'd still put faith in him. So certainly he rounds out that 3, no questions asked. But to me, he is the 3rd on that list.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, he's a matchup-proof kind of guy, in my opinion, because he's so versatile. And as we talked about during that show, he's, if he's phased out of the run, he's going to be used on the pass. Like, he could catch a pass and go 60 yards for a touchdown in any given game. I know you can't count on those things every week, but they certainly help make a person like him more attractive and not looking so much at the schedule. Ethan wants to know Hollywood Brown or Golden Tate. That's a tough one for his wide receiver too. I literally love both of these guys.
Oh man, I do too.
I think Hollywood Brown is still dealing with a little bit of an injury, right? So I'm a little bit worried about that. And Tate coming off the bye week, right?
Yeah.
So off the bye week, he had like 90 and 2 touchdowns or 102 touchdowns. What do you have? So he's on fire, even though he slept for a week. Whereas Hollywood Brown apparently is still banged up because he didn't have the biggest game, and I thought maybe he was going to have a huge bounce back game. I'm going to lean Tate, but I love both.
I'm going to go with Tate because I don't think Hollywood Brown is playing is going to play as good as he is because of the injury. I think Tate's the safer pick.
I wish I can go contrarian. I've been waiting for my opportunity, but I can't on this one. I mean, Tate, no question for me.
Yeah, you have to. Safer pick.
Yeah, Tate. Do you guys think Antonio Brown will return this season? And then I'll add a twist to his question. This is from David. Who has a greater chance of playing a snap this year, Antonio Brown or Colin Kaepernick?
Probably Colin Kaepernick.
I don't know, man. The NFL is capable of anything. So legal question. This goes to the fantasy suits. For you, if you don't know, this is an attorney on the right of your screen. He has not been put on the commissioner exempt list yet, correct?
Correct.
So he could get signed tomorrow by any team if they wanted to, and literally he would be able to play, assuming he met all the deadlines and criteria, the physical and everything, which I think he wouldn't pass a physical if they give him a mental evaluation. Because I think I predict that you may start hearing the NFL talk about CTE with Antonio Brown at some point. Maybe legally they don't want to throw that out there, and they could be in trouble for doing that or cause some kind of defamation or whatever. But I feel like it's reckless to assume this guy isn't suffering from CTE at this point. Like, you have all these signs of him being completely erratic and not the same player that he used to be mentally. But what are your thoughts legally? Could a team sign him and play him? If a team signed him, would the NFL speed along the process and let them know? Would a team reach out to the NFL and say, "What are you doing?" Like the Patriots, they're kicking the tires? News reports reported that, and then they said, "No, we're not going after him." Do you think that that's because they kicked the tires, asked the NFL, and the NFL said, "Don't do it"?
Look, it's a great question. Legally speaking, Antonio Brown could be signed tomorrow. That's on paper, And when you look at the situation, you have to begin to ask yourself, all right, well, is this something that the NFL owners collectively, coupled with Roger Goodell, is going to allow to happen? Now, you have to remember that this is the NFL, and people kind of lose track of this sometimes. When you look inside the purview of the law, it doesn't apply to the NFL. They're a business, separate and apart. Now, that doesn't mean that the law doesn't get, used within the business. So, for example, if Mason Rudolph really wanted to, he could sue for assault and battery, no question. There's assumption of the risk and how you can argue that Myles Garrett went outside, the assumed risk that was taken. I'm not going to get more complicated than that. But as far as Antonio Brown's situation, there's nothing precluding him from signing with a team at this point. What will preclude him, in my opinion, is that any owner who's going to sign him is going to call Roger right away and say, "Hey, Raj, I'm thinking about signing Antonio. What are your thoughts?" Not all owners. Some owners don't have that kind of connection with him. But I do think that we're not going to see Antonio Brown for the rest of this season. It would have to be a very unique circumstance, and there would be a lot done behind the scenes that we would not be privy to before that happens.
Raj, what you thinking?
Completely agree. I've been kind of thinking the same thing. I don't have as big of a legal background as you, but I kind of was studying a lot of the NFL rules and things. And that's kind of what I felt is if a team wants him back on their team, they're going to have to call and say, can we get him on this team? And there's just too much risk involved because he's already went through 2 teams. He spurned 2 teams. He's really, dug himself in a grave. And I don't think anybody's going to want to bring him back for that very reason. There's just too much. And with Kaepernick, I say he has a better chance. It's maybe like a 1% chance. We've talked about him where, last week his little workout, he did his little workout. He should have just stuck at that. At the end, he had his post-game, thing where he talks and started going off. If he wouldn't have said that, I think he probably would have been signed already.
Yeah.
The teams are going to look at that and say, there's a lot of drama involved. Do we want to bring this media circus? We talked about this last week, Smitty. And it was more of a losing team that brings this guy. They already have a lot of issues going on. Do they want to bring him? But I will say his issues are probably something that a team would maybe risk because he's a quarterback, and everybody always wants a quarterback, on their team.
What are the odds that a team brings in both of them this year at the same time?
Your odds are 0. I lived in Vegas. I know a lot about betting and odds. I would go bet my house that they're both not coming back.
If there was a team, who would it be?
Honestly, I think
the
I've
Ravens?
heard rumors that Carolina's trying to get Kaepernick, and I could see Carolina bring him back because you got to look at it. Cam Newton's out. Their offense is kind of tailored to a mobile quarterback, and then they have Eric Reed, who's his right hand. That's his boy. That's Kaepernick's boy. So I think Eric Reed would, vouch for him and say, hey, look, bring my boy Kaepernick back. To me, that's the one team that could actually bring him back. It makes sense to me.
I love that in the workout. So Antonio Brown, whenever he posts something, it's bad grammar. It's F-bombs. It's, whatever, horrible language. And then all of a sudden, he comes out with this really well-spoken, Dear Roger Goodell, I apologize. I picture some English accent or something for my erratic behavior this this fantasy season. And this message is so well written. And then he's got a video the weeks before he's screw the NFL or whatever. I'm never playing in the NFL again. Then it shows him running routes, and I believe he has an Oakland Raider helmet on while he's running routes, practicing, trying to showcase, hey, sorry, look what I'm doing. I'm practicing. Why does he have the Raider helmet on?
He should have had it on in the first place. We wouldn't have this problem.
I know. If he would have, oh my God. But if you think back of the timeline, it's been an amazing year for Antonio Brown news.
Man.
People forget he was traded to the Buffalo Bills. He was on the Buffalo Bills. People forget that
one
part.
night only.
And he refused to go, and that was day one. We're like, wow, this guy's a diva. We didn't know what we were in store for. We're like, what?
It was a
He's
roller
refusing
coaster.
to go. What a crazy man, And then he burns his feet off, which was absolutely insane. You got to wonder what was going on there. Is that a cover up of something else? Was there a reason he couldn't? I don't know. My mind goes there. I'm like, what conspiracy theory can I come up with to explain how a man could burn his feet off like that? Then he, all the helmet stuff, wearing his Pop Warner helmet, from how do you even expand something like that? If the helmet's like this, and over time, what do you put a pump in it and just keep expanding it? It's got to be this thin. No wonder he has CTE potentially or head trauma. He's like a pancake, just smashed his helmet into a thin layer. I don't know.
I think that might be Antonio Brown's legacy. And, we can kind of laugh about it. And I crack jokes all the time. Shit, I was putting together memes about the helmet, about the feet. Forget it. We all were. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I think that Antonio Brown, as sad as it might be, I think that half of his legacy is going to be something CTE related.
I agree.
It's impossible to look at this guy and think that he's within his right mind. Good God, brother. What is the matter with you?
Which is why I think the NFL is going to say no to him because of CTE or, they're going to – what responsibility, Rob, does the NFL have if they let this guy go out and he causes more damage in 10 years from now? Do you think that their attorneys are involved at this point? An honest question, saying, hey, this guy is not in his right state of mind. If you let him back in the league, you are opening the door to a huge, liability.
It's a fair question, but unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, that's the wrong word to use. Fortunately, in this country, we have freedom of contract. And as a United States citizen, he has the right to do whatever he wants, to find whatever employment that's within his power to get. And the only person to stop him from that is himself or his employer, or his potential future employer. Mm-hmm. So the question would be not really legally, would there be liability? Because there's waivers that he would have to sign, 100 of them. But the question is morally. Roger, could you really allow this man back in the league, seeing what we've seen, seeing that circus, knowing that there even might be a connection to CTE?
Imagine this.
Yeah, it's...
Imagine this. Ready? This is the judge. Okay, Roger, he burned his feet off. And what was it? Was it like July or something like that? Wanted to wear his Pop Warner helmet in the NFL. Basically tricked his coach, Gruden, recorded all his phone calls, and posted them online. And then when he was released from the team, posted videos of him yelling and screaming, he did it. And then I mean, honestly, and then all the other stuff, I couldn't imagine a judge rolling through those.
To me, I already knew it was going to be an issue because, in the offseason, he was linked to a lot of teams. The 49ers were one of the teams he was linked to, so I followed it closely, I kind of low-key became a Antonio Brown fan page because we were posting so much about him. It was kind of crazy because, George Kittle sends the text and he responds, and everybody's going crazy. Oh, he's going to go to the Niners. He's hanging out with Jerry Rice. Oh, he's going to the Niners. The day he came up and posted a picture of him in a blonde mustache, I was like, this guy's done. He's lost it. He's crazy. He has to have CTE. The blonde mustache should have gave everybody a hint. That was crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. I do think the legal parts of it are kind of cool, so it's good that you're on, Rob, to talk about that. But I just wonder, we're living in a world now, though, where even if there are waivers or whatever, if they, there's such a big concussion, situation going on in the NFL, I could see there being, some kind of huge lawsuit down the road against the NFL for letting players play that when they, in good conscious thought, there was a potential chance. What if there's an email? Let me put it this way, Rob. There's an email chain of people saying, what if he has CTE? He might. Well, let's just let him back in the league. What if there was evidence that they thought he had CTE?
It would turn into one of the biggest scandals throughout the NFL's entire history. It would be unprecedented, the level that, this would actually rise to, because you could see a lot of lawsuits come out of the woodwork from family members. You could see just even people who had just sniffed around the NFL could come after these people.
I think what it's all going to come down to is they'll sue the maker of that Pop Warner helmet.
Yeah, no.
This didn't survive in the NFL. This is not quality material.
I mean, at the end of the day with CTE, it's getting to the point where they're really, really, honing down on it. They want to protect these players because a lot of the older players, they're coming back and saying, hey, look, I might have had some effects from CTE. And then you can tell just from the medical standpoint, they're really becoming a lot more careful. They're taking more precautions. So you're right. If they were to let him back and he may have had CTE, it would blow up in their face and it would become one of the biggest things ever in the NFL. Yeah. So they don't want that. They don't want that drama.
We're screenshotting this, or what do you call it, Dr. Raj? Your
screen recording?
No, but you said something else. You were not archiving, receipting your receipts.
Oh yeah, we're keeping receipts.
Keeping receipts on the show. Smitty on November 23rd, 2019 is predicting that once this gets unraveled, that they say the NFL knew he had CTE. And then they start combing through the emails, and they find out there is evidence where someone admitted that they thought he had it. You watch. It's coming back 10 years from
receipts.
now.
You're right.
Keeping the receipts.
Smitty put that out into the world. Those are his copyrights, just so you guys know. So if anyone makes a movie about this stuff, you better give him a cut of that. Just saying.
Mr. Big Chest. Mr. Big Chest.
Mr. Big Chest.
Please step up to the podium and explain your story. Well, Your Honor, he's burned his feet off again. He's going to wheel up.
He's using a wheelchair. Dr. Raj is wheeling him up.
Yeah. Did you guys see and you're right, I do joke a lot about it, but I also do say, hey, if this is CTE, it's serious, and I do feel like we need to mention how, At some point, we got to stop making fun of him if it does actually come out. So, and know that I'll do that. I'm not a heartless person. We don't know if it's CT. We're kind of guessing. But I did a Instagram story. I don't know if you guys saw a video where I show. I wish I could find it on here. I might have it somewhere, and I could play it. But where I have Bill Belichick yelling and saying, "Are you gonna cut that shit out?" You know, because he says cut that out or whatever. Are you gonna come back? And he goes, "Yeah, coach, best behavior." And then I show him dialing Belichick on one phone and dialing Gruden on one and putting them together and like, hello. Oh, you called me. But it's like that's like the kind of drama this guy causes,
exactly
when he goes.
Yeah.
Like, who wants that?
Oh my God, that's funny.
Okay, all right. Let's get some more questions. What do you guys got? Let me see here. No, one question on the screen. I've had it on here for like 30 minutes. Derek says, "Hey, Smitty, James Washington, Cobb, or Deontay Johnson, pick one, full PPR."
Love Cobb. I mean, I can't say it enough. Back-to-back, over 100 yards. Back-to-back. He's really come on. Dak Prescott's having the best fantasy year of his career. Last week, I told someone to shy away from Cobb, and I've been thinking about it for 6 days straight. Yeah, it's like it was just one of those calls. And, Smitty has said it before. I've said it. I admit when I'm wrong, and that was a call that it was just a tough one, and it's kind of been marinating. So I am full steam ahead on Randall Cobb this week for sure. Even against New England.
Even against New England. Run them at me again one more time.
James Washington, Cobb, and Deontay Johnson. None of them are great options in my opinion.
They're not
but
huge options, but based on the three, Cobb is the safer pick. He's probably the better, upside pick. And you're right, Dak is starting to come on to his own, and he's had some good games, and Cobb's been one of those reasons why. And if Cooper is limited in any capacity, Cobb's going to have to get more targets. So And I honestly think that Dallas is going to make this a heck of a game, and they're going to put points on the board. I know Patriots have a great defense, but I really think that Dallas is going to be one of those pesky matchups, and they're going to come out and fire it up.
I'm shocked that Deontay Johnson is playing this week. I mean, that hit that he took, he was bleeding out of his face.
I know, that was bad.
Good God, how is this man going to walk on the field this week? And then, if he was fully healthy and didn't take that shot, I would have been super high on him. James Washington, I don't really feel the same way about. And then you put them both together. Now they're both out there. Mason Rudolph's going to be in his own head. I mean, there's a ton of drama.
I guess if I had to go one, I would go Washington because I feel like he could have that touchdown. But I don't know.
I just don't trust their quarterback situation. Yeah. And at the end of the day, you don't know what you're going to get. At least with Cobb, he has a stable situation behind him at quarterback. Yeah. So I feel confident in that. In those three.
I love Dak, though. Dak was on my bold prediction list the year he broke out, and I actually put him on there before he was named the starter. So it was really controversial on Sleeper U. I was like, this is one of your top 10 bold predictions? I'm like, hell yeah, dude. I think Dak is going to – and he slowly groomed into the QB he is now. He wasn't like – but he was definitely very exciting when he took – he wasn't the starter yet. Tony Romo was still starting. And then I wrote that prediction, and then it came out that Tony Romo wasn't going to play, and then Dak took over, and it's been a fun one. But I definitely I don't like the matchup, but I think that they could definitely throw enough to where Cobb could be relevant. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and Dak Prescott, his dance is sweeping the nation.
Yeah, that is. Was he doing that all year? Is that the first time anybody posted that? How did that not come out on week one?
But I just don't think they made a big deal of it until that Thursday night game, where all of a sudden everybody was like, oh, look at Dak doing the dance. That was his pregame little warm-up, getting the hips rotating, and they made it a big thing. And now all these other players that do it, Jimmy Garoppolo did it, and it went viral. Nick Bosa did it, and it went viral. It was funny.
Somebody scored a touchdown and made it their touchdown dance, didn't they?
Yeah.
That's great.
Rogers.
Fat Joe did it first, though, by the way, just for the record.
You're right.
Lean back.
Aaron Rodgers.
Do the rock away.
Dr. Raj, this one we'll throw to you first. Aaron Rodgers at the 49ers or Winston at the Falcons?
And Jameis Winston, I just don't trust him regardless. I don't care who he's playing. I go Aaron Rodgers. I know the Niners have a great defense, but it's going to be a shootout tomorrow. And I don't bench Rodgers for Jameis Winston. Are you kidding me? That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is a safe pick regardless. Every week, he's their gamer. He's their star player. Aaron Rodgers is good for a big game every week. Doesn't matter what team he's playing. I got to start him.
I never trust a guy
Rodgers.
that tries to eat his hand.
Yeah, and Jameis Winston, he's tried to steal crab leg before. I'm not going to trust my fantasy team.
Yeah.
How about this? Atlanta, back-to-back games where their defense was a legitimate threat.
Yeah,
and now coming into week 3, I mean, I don't trust Tampa Bay. First of all, Jameis Winston is the interception king, okay? Like the undisputed interception king. So you have a newly revitalized defense, which people have asked me, like, hey, Rob, like, what's going on here? Where is this defense coming from? Bro, I have no idea. Like, I have no idea. But a fact is a fact. Like 2 weeks in a row, they held the Saints and the Panthers to single digits, back to back. Now Tampa Bay comes in and what? Jameis Winston's not going to throw 4 interceptions? Forget it. So
I think it does depend on how your scoring is. So if you get like -1 point for INTs, it's not as big of a deal. If you get -2 or 3, which I see all kinds of formats, then obviously you want to take that into consideration. But if you look at what Winston's done the last few games, I'm just playing devil's advocate for the moment. I pick Rodgers. I don't sit Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is the play. But Winston, his last 5 games, 400 yards and 1 TD, then the 5 INTs. 301 and 2 with the 2 INTs. 335 and 2 with 0 INTs. 358 and 1 with 2 INTs. Then 313 with 2 TDs and 4 INTs.
He's a turnover machine.
And turnover machine. So if it's -1 for INTs, you have more of a debate on your hands. If it's -2 or 3, Aaron Rodgers is the play.
Safer pick, yeah.
You guys really trust Cooper Kupp this week from Omar. Omar wants to know that.
Yeah, I think I do. He's going to be their most reliable player, but it all goes on the shoulders of Jared Goff. I don't trust Jared Goff, so I'm kind of up in the air. I do think Cooper Kupp's a great play. He's always going to be a good play because he's going to be the one guy that he's going to be able to get targets to, but I just don't trust Jared Goff. That's who I don't trust.
I get it. I totally get it. I have, by the way, this is Milo, just so you guys can see.
Milo the cat.
Milo.
What's up, Milo?
Let me just set him down for a sec. I love Cooper Kupp, man. I mean, I was super high on him. I'd mentioned preseason, I had him ranked above Woods and Cooks. And, that's not to brag a lot. It's just to brag a little bit because I can't not brag a little bit. But Cooper Kupp has kind of fallen off a little bit, but it's mostly because Jared Goff has fallen off a lot. And as much as I trust Cooper Kupp is as much as I still don't trust Jared Goff yet. Yeah. So, I'm thinking maybe double-digit fantasy points, but probably on the lower end of that spectrum, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe 12 points at most, 13. I just don't trust Jared Goff. Really don't.
Yeah, okay. Guys, hit the thumbs up if you've entered the live. We've had 300, 400, 500, 800 people in here before. I feel like with the season dying down, we've dropped into the 80s to 150 kind of range, it seems like, on these Saturday nights. But YouTube is also not alerting people or alerting everybody that we're live. It's really weird. They're going through some kind of weird, I don't know if they're doing an algorithm change as far as like how they do that and alerting people. But we need more thumbs up. The more thumbs up we get, the more that YouTube is going to serve this up to people looking for live shows right now. So help the show out. Omar has a question. Thank you, Omar, for the super chat, my man. Can I drop Mac? He has a tough playoff schedule. I say no way. Marlon Mack, I like Marlon Mack a lot. I think Marlon Mack he's injury prone. He's not healthy, but once he's back, he's easily your flex. I mean, how can you not flex Marlon Mack if he's back? So I say no way. You've got to have somebody else you can drop. And then he says, do you want to? He wants to stash 2 players of these guys: Antonio Brown, Benny Snell, Darrell Williams, Mike Williams, Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram. What 2 would you pick? And then you can answer the other question on Mac.
Well, look, I'll say this. If Dr. Raj tells me that Marlon Mack is done for the season, I drop him. But if there's even a chance that he plays week 16, I'm holding on to him. He's a beast, and he has one of the best offensive lines in the league, and that's hard to argue. Can you just run back those players, though? I just got to hear that list one more time. Again.
Yeah, and I'll look up Marlon Mack in case there's some news on him today.
I'm looking him
Can
up
I
too.
drop Mack? Yeah, and then it was pick 2. AB, Benny Snell, Darrell Williams. Darrell 1L Williams. So he's talking about Darrell Williams, the chief running back. Mike Williams, Sterling Shepard, or Evan Ingram. I'm going to say Darrell Williams is the guy you lock into one of the two because if Damian Williams can't stay healthy, Darrell Williams is the guy they apparently lean on. So that'd be my first pick. What are you thinking?
It's kind of dog food or cat food for me. I mean, it's not an excellent, menu there, but if I'm going up to that buffet, I think I have to agree with you, man. Again, I'm still looking for my contrarian play, but I would go Darrell Williams here because it's an Andy Reid coached running back, and you see them produce every single year.
You get one more.
Evan Ingram. Forget about it. He's been top 5 at the tight end position, and they're going to need him a lot. So,
all right, Dr. Raj, Mac, update on Mac, and then who would you pick out of those guys?
Okay,
AB,
so
Darrell Williams, Mike Williams.
Good question on Marlon Mack. Everything you said was valid. He's a beast. He's a stud. If he plays, he's a great fantasy option. But he has a broken hand. Broken hand is going to be at least 4 to 6 weeks. You might as well drop the guy. I hate to say it because I love Mack, and he may be able to come back if he heals fast. But even if he came back within that 4-week timetable, he's going to be limited. Running back like him, who's a power guy, and has to go through those trenches, he's going to be limited, man. And I just don't want him moving forward. So you got to kind of cut your losses.
Can you play? Are there anything he can play with? As far as like a cast or any kind of
he can have a cast and everything. But at the end of the day, this is the thing that people say, and I hate this because people say, "Oh, why can't he just play with the cast?" There's a risk for infection. Imagine if you're out there, you're running, you have a cast, there's sweat on the hand, you can get an infection in your hand, and he's gone for a longer period of time. So a lot of times nowadays, players, coaches, and the medical staff actually don't want to play a player with the broken hand and put the club on anymore because of that risk for infection. 10, 20 years ago, you had players playing all the time with the club, but now with the advances in medical, we don't want them to play because of the infection. So I think Mac is going to be an injury risk moving forward. If you got better options, you roll with those better options, and roll those players again for me.
Yeah, and real quickly, I'm not just to stay on Mac real quick. I'm not seeing anything. It says right here, Adam Schefter's adds that it's not thought to be a season-ending procedure.
Yeah, like I said, it could be a 4-week thing, but
yeah, but there's no indication that what that means. Does that mean NFL season? Like they're talking about like week 17, or he goes into the playoffs? Like
yeah.
I don't know.
I think they're saying
if it gets confirmed that he's out, until week 16 or 17, then it might be safe to cut him. It depends also on your depth. Like if you're talking about dropping a Corey Davis or something, or dropping Mac for Corey Davis or something like that, then no. Like hang on to Mac, even if you might get him 1 week. But if you're talking about you have small benches and you could pick up trying to think of a guy that's relevant enough, like Darrell Williams maybe, and he looks like he might start or something, then I would definitely roll that way. So
you also got to think that Frank Reich isn't out there looking at Jonathan Williams, who just had a pretty fantastic game, and thinking, we got to rush Marlon. They did lose, but Jonathan Williams looked halfway decent.
He played good, So at the end of the day, if he's making good strides, you don't rush a guy like that back.
Yeah.
And again, it may not be season ending in terms of if they make the playoffs, he can play, but again,
I wonder if he could put Antonio Brown's helmet around it and then play with it, because that seems like a very protective.
It depends
device.
which helmet.
Yeah.
If it's that Pop Warner helmet, don't even try it.
I don't know. That Pop Warner helmet is lasted quite a long time. It seems like durable space shuttle material.
Yeah, but now he's a punk drunk
those
boxer,
players were
unfortunately.
AB, Benny Snell, Darrell Williams for the Chiefs, Mike Williams for the Chargers, and Sterling Shepard and Evan Ingram. So you got to pick two.
Wow. I go Darrell Williams and Evan Ingram.
Okay.
Those are
I think
my
we're all
roles.
in agreement.
I mean, Williams, like we said,
Mike
he
Williams
has probably
maybe
the most upside between any of those guys, and Ingram, I feel he still has some upside, even though he hasn't been used right. He's been kind of thrown around here and there with the situation he's been given, but he still has good potential where he can have one of those games where it's just like, boom, that's what we wanted from him. He could catch a few touchdowns here and there. One of those games where he just catches a couple touchdowns, catches fire, and I think I like that.
Thank you for the super chat, Mood. And Mood followed up and said that he would be dropping Mac to get one of those two. So wait, I think, until you find out a little more, in my opinion. But, you wouldn't be crazy to drop him. But I would scoop him up.
Crazy.
I'd scoop him up if someone dropped him in a very deep league. But
deep league.
Yeah, if you're in a 10-teamer, bye-bye.
Yeah, if you're a 10-teamer, I dropped him last week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. 12 or higher, you might want to hold.
Rob, this is for you. It's from Ben. Ben says, Rob,
Hi, Ben.
apparently you like cat food. So there's your big,
Or
there's your
dog
big
food.
question.
Depends on who I'm choosing between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm choosing, well, right. So me personally, you know what? Let me just break this mold right here now. I'm a dog person and I'm a cat person. Okay, everyone's like, oh, you got to be one or the other. Bullshit.
That's
Yeah.
the first, man.
Bullshit. You know what? I love dogs. I love cats. So, you can give me somebody like Deontay Johnson and you can give me, I don't know, somebody like a Darrell Williams. And I'll take my dog food and I'll take my cat food and I'll trot them both out there.
These two are for Dr. Raj. Dr. Raj will give you time to prepare on the first one. Updates on Adam Thielen. Let us know what you're thinking on his injury. And then
let me get him up. I know it's the hamstring still.
Isaac says, bang, bang, Niner gang.
Bang, bang, Niner gang, Isaac. Love it.
14-team
Where's the
league
Giants
move.
fans at? Come on, New York, stand up. What's up, New York?
Yeah.
Crickets.
Can we trust James Conner in the fantasy playoffs, says Omar.
No. I've been okay, so let me go over James Conner because I need to read more on Adam Thielen. So, again, like I've been talking the last couple of weeks with James Conner, that shoulder injury is pesky and it's just going to keep on recurring. Again, last week 2 weeks ago I said, if he comes in, he has a high risk for injuring his shoulder. He injured his shoulder and he's out again. AC joints are really tricky, and I honestly think I could see him missing a couple more weeks. And fantasy playoffs are coming. You don't want a guy that's on your team that you're like, is he going to play? Is he not going to play? Samuels has played good in relief, and even if Connor comes back, you'd like to you're going to think that they're going to keep some carries to Samuels because they want to limit a big injury to Connor. So I don't trust them moving forward in a playoff situation. I got all hands on deck on Samuels, and I do not trust Connor. Even if he comes back, he's going to be limited, and that shoulder injury can keep on recurring. So don't trust Connor moving forward.
And what did you say about Thielen?
Let me see. Thielen is going to play this weekend. Thielen is feeling a little better this weekend.
Yeah,
but
he's
again,
healing.
It is, Thielen is healing, but it's a hamstring injury, man. I'm telling you, hamstring injuries are very pesky. Even if he's playing this weekend, I got to temper expectations. I think he could get, low-end double-digit points, 10, 11 points, but I just don't think he's going to be that Adam Thielen that we want this week, and he's playing. It's a tough matchup this week. So, honestly, I'd be kind of tempering my expectations. Keep an eye on his situation because hamstring injuries are risky, and I think moving forward, you might want to try to trade away from Adam Thielen. I don't like hamstring injuries. Those are one of the worst injuries you can have as a football player.
All right, Omar says thank you for the James Conner stuff. And next question from Alex. He says, Smitty, these players were dropped in my 12-team PPR league. Mac, Evan Ingram, Juju. Who's the pickup there between the three? I want to say Juju, but will he? I think he's a guy we just wait on for next year to be a good buy low, a good draft. He's tough to. If you need a tight end, I'd say go Ingram. If you need a wide receiver or a flex play, I'd probably go Juju. But I don't know. Ingram's hurt, Juju's hurt, Mac's hurt. I mean, these are all. Juju's the only guy that I think could potentially do something in the final weeks for you and be consistent. Ingram could too, but isn't Ingram out this week or is he back?
I think he's back this week.
Okay, let me
I
see.
think he is too. And I'll just say this: they're all on your waiver wire for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Think of that.
Yeah, look, if you're gonna pick up anybody,
Ingram's out.
Because if Ingram comes back week 16 and you've made it to the championship, he could be a league winner. I think.
Yeah.
I don't think that Juju has shown us anything this year that would make me believe I could start him over the next couple weeks without a huge knot in my stomach. But a guy like Ingram has proven to put up massive games with Daniel Jones under center. The game script almost always calls for it, and he's been hurt. So if he comes back, he puts up a big game or two. You have him week 16, I would have no problem trotting him out there.
All right, let's play a quick game to end the show tonight. This will take a few minutes, so it's not like it. If you guys have to go or something, let me know. But this will be the last thing we do, and everyone seems to like this. So I'm going to go through the schedule, and we're going to rotate games, and it's got to be literally rapid fire, 2 sentences. No long drawn out stuff. You'll get a feel for when I do it. So Broncos Bills is the first game of the morning games, and we just say relevant players and predictions. So I'm going to say Cortland Sutton, maybe 80 and a touch. Maybe Lindsey has 60 and a score. I'm not liking too much else. I mean, Fant's okay. I think Fant would be a decent play. Allen's going to have kind of a tough game, but maybe he gets 250 total yards and 2 touchdowns maybe in that one. And then Devin Singletary, I'm going to say he gets 100 total yards and a touchdown. And let's see, John Brown will put 80 in a score. So the next game I'll give to Rob, since it's the Giants at the Bears. Your turn. Go.
Absolute slop fest. Not something I'm interested in. There's going to be a tough time for Daniel Jones to get anything going against the Bears. It's going to be a tough time for Mitch Trubisky because he's Mitch Trubisky. You could see David Montgomery go off for 100 or more all-purpose yards, so I like that. Allen Robinson, I expect him to do just fine. By the way, we're giving away a free signed Allen Robinson jersey, so a nice little plug for that as well.
Yeah, I need to give that away.
Darius Slayton, make sure you have him in your lineups as well because he's had two touchdown games so far. Him and Daniel Jones have a great connection. Love that play.
Yeah.
Steelers at the Bengals, Dr. Raj.
Man, we've been talking about it all night. You take Samuels, roll that baby going because he's going to have a big game. Bengals, I won't trust anybody on that team, but if you got to roll with someone, Mixon, because I don't think they're going to throw much. They're going to lean on the run game like you were saying tonight. Mixon, Samuels, those are the picks. That's really all I really would have on my team out of those two teams. And the Pittsburgh defense. Pittsburgh defense is going to go absolutely crazy. Minka Fitzpatrick might have another pick 6 this week.
Okay. Dolphins at the Browns. Okay, I'm done.
Next.
I'll say Odell is going to get 70 and a touchdown. Chubb's going to have 80 in a score. Hunt will have – this will be a decent game for Browns players, I guess. And then I think Hunt will have 60 total. Good shot at a touchdown. And Miami, I predict, does not even show up to the game. So Bucks at Falcons for Rob.
Matt Ryan, QB1 of the week overall. Love that play. Stacking in DFS. Julio Jones also stacking everyone on the Falcons except for their running backs. Don't start any Atlanta running backs, but feel free to start any pass catchers in Atlanta with Matt Ryan. On the other side of the ball, again, I'm a little tepid with Jameis. I'm tepid with this entire Tampa Bay offense. If you have Mike Evans, you're starting him. If you have an Atlanta running back, again, Tampa Bay, number 1 against the run, so stay away.
Dr. Raj gets the fun one. The Panthers at the Saints.
Oh, man, that's a fun game. That's going to be a good game. I want all stocks on CMC because, with their situation, their offense goes right through CMC, and it doesn't matter who they play. They're going to give them tons of carries. I think he goes off 100 yards, 2 touchdowns at least for Christian McCaffrey. And then on the flip side, I think Alvin Kamara has a big game this week. I think they're going to run it down their throat. And I think that Kamara gets 2 touchdowns, give him at least 100 yards, maybe about 50 yards catching. I think he's going to have a big game. And then, of course, Drew Brees, I think he'll have a big game, probably 2 to 3 touchdowns. And, of course, Thomas is the man. Michael Thomas, you got to start him. And if you're not starting him, you're crazy. I think he has at least 100 yards and a touchdown.
I like it. And Mood for the Super Chat. Super Chats always squeeze in and take priority. So Mood is saying, reasons for dropping Mac. His schedule, Williams look good, possible 3-way timeshare. I have Hooper, Tyreek, and a must-win game tomorrow. I need space because of buys. The picture is clear now. Yes, it's clear now, Mood. I'm
Look,
okay
if you
with
need
that.
the space, that's what it is.
Go
ahead.
Yeah, and Darrell Williams.
He's not going to be playing for a couple weeks. So.
And Damian Williams, Dr. Raj, do you have any updates on Damian Williams, and what are your predictions for how long he could be out or be struggling? So you dig into that for Mood for me. Yeah. And let's see who just went. So now it's my turn again on this while Dr. Raj looks that up.
Yeah,
Seahawks.
So rib injury. That's right. It was a rib injury.
Yeah.
That's at least depending on how extentful the rib injury is, they're still looking into it. That's one of those injuries that's just going to really limit him, especially if he's a running back. I would probably be a little cautious with him. He's probably going to miss 2 weeks. Rib injuries are painful, and when he comes back, he's going to be limited because when you turn, when you breathe, when you sneeze, when you cough, it hurts when you have a rib injury. So
yeah, so Darrell Williams feels like a really good pickup.
Yeah, I agree.
Mood, I'd go pick him up. So
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. But you did have 2 potential spots, so you could hang on to Mac and still pick up Darrell Williams. But I think Mike Williams and I think his other player was Evan Ingram. They're still very good ads.
They're still good
if you need it, if you need a tight end possibility. So thank you for that super chat. Back to the regular scheduled part of the program. Seattle at Philly. I'm not feeling a lot of these Philly players, man. I'm going to say that.
Who? Mac Hollins, JJ Arcega-Whiteside, like
Yeah.
what Philly?
I mean,
players?
Miles Sanders always seems capable of like 50-yard touchdown or something. So like there's decent appeal there, I guess, in a deep setting. But I think Wilson could have a huge game. DK, I think, is set up for like 80 and a score. Lockett, if he plays, is good for like 90 to 100 in a score. I'm not too worried about him unless something breaks between now and kickoff tomorrow that says like, oh, he's going to be on a really reduced snap count. I'm rolling Lockett out there. Carson, 100 total yards and a touchdown. I think this is going to be a really easy win for the Seahawks. So I'm leaning heavily on the Seahawks side of the football. Lions at Redskins. This one's for Rob.
So last week I told everyone to take the over on Jeff Driscoll's prop bet for rushing. It was over 16.5 rushing yards. He had 51 and a touchdown. The Washington Redskins are a burning dumpster fire. Start them all. Jeff Driscoll is not a bad quarterback. He has legs. I could start him if I'm in a tough situation, but there's a lot of guys with great matchups. He's been hitting Kenny Galladay. Marvin Jones had the better game last week, if I'm not mistaken. The running back situation is very muddled. In one of my deeper leagues, I'm starting both Bo Scarborough and J.D. McKissick. I don't feel good about either one particularly, but I'm not, I'm not crying in the corner over it. As far as Washington goes, again, the only guy would be McLaurin in my opinion. But even then, it's just a really shaky situation and an unfortunate one at that, given the quarterback, Dwayne Haskins. I almost wish that Case Keenum was there for McLaurin owners to help finish out the season.
Yeah, I love McLaurin.
Yeah.
I think he's got such a bright future, but it does worry me.
Shaky quarterback situation is putting it mildly.
And I didn't hear. Sorry, I was tending.
Hey, real quick, I know you're a Giants guy, so are you happy they went Daniel Jones over Haskins? Looking back.
If you would have asked me during the draft, I would have been putting holes in my drywall. But I've been apologetic as of late, definitely.
I think most Giants fans say.
I was a doubter. He looks pretty good. I thought he looked better by this stage in the game, though. I thought he was going to mature fast because he looked so good early. I'm a little shocked he hasn't, gotten even better than he has. But I think that he's very good signs for a rookie. And Barkley, Tate has been a lot better than I predicted too. I think they've got a good setup. So I think they're going to be pretty good. Yeah, Daniel has a super chat here. Start 3 for tomorrow, 0.5 PPR, so half a point per reception. Devontae Parker, Lockett, Amari Cooper, Darius Slayton. Easy call for me. Slayton, Lockett, Cooper, throw Parker aside. Although anything can happen. Let me preface that. But I'm not sitting Slayton over Devontae Parker. Parker's vanished every year. He's done something somewhere in the year and then completely vanished. Slayton looks great.
Smitty, this is where I'm going to go contrarian with you. I am going to stick with Parker.
You like Slayton.
I get it. I get it. He's the invisible man. He's somebody who never does anything, and it's super frustrating. I totally get it. But he's actually a thing this year, and we can't ignore it. The fact that Preston Williams got hurt, I mean, he put up, 22, 23 fantasy points. He's had double digits the past 6 weeks in a row. Look, I'm a Giants fan, and I like what Darius Slayton brings to the table, but I still can't start Darius over Devontae Parker. I think I got to go Parker over.
Yeah, 7 receptions for 135
I like Parker
yards.
Actually, better. I think he's a better play. He's been been their only relevant source on that team, and you can't really stray from him. So I think he's the better play.
In Parker's defense, 2 straight weeks of 10 targets in a row. That is impressive.
That is.
no TDs the last 2 weeks, but he does have 1, 2, 3, 4 on the year.
That's
Get him
Drogo,
volume.
by
Get
the
him
way.
volume.
Yeah, but Slayton, I think is a pretty darn good play.
He is. He
Oh,
is.
yeah, he's
it's
not bad.
It's close.
Let's see his last 2 weeks. Let's compare apples to apples here. So 1 catch for 6 yards 2 weeks ago, before the bye, and then the most
2 weeks
recent week,
before that,
15 targets before the bye week. So he's
Wow.
coming off a bye. He's fresh. 15 targets, 10 receptions, 121 yards, and 2 TDs. He also has a lot of TDs on the year 5. So
Yeah, but 2 of them came in one game and 2 of them came in another. So
Yeah,
he's
well.
had three games in the end zone, but that's still promising.
Those are his stats.
That is good sign though. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
definitely a good sign.
promising for the future.
Yeah, but you could also argue, if you want to argue that game, 2 came in 2, like his stats aren't his stats. You could say 4 of those came in the last 3 games. So, he's on
it's true.
fire.
It's a fair point.
But I totally get it. I mean, Parker is a thing right now. I just wonder when he falls apart. But good questions, and thank you, Mood, again for the super chatting. And then who asked that question? That was Daniel. Thank you, Daniel, for the super chat. You're the man. All right.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Mood.
Yeah. Let's see. Next question or next matchup was. So who just went? Dr. Raj is up, right?
Yeah, so I guess I'm there.
Okay. Raiders at the Jets.
Oh, man. Josh
Yeah.
Jacobs, baby. Roll that, baby. I love Josh Jacobs. He's becoming strong play every week. And I know we talked about rookie players earlier. We're going to talk about that eventually. I love Josh Jacobs. He's a great pick. He's a great player. He's the best fantasy rookie, not just running back, best fantasy rookie out there. NFL rookie. He's been killing it. I like Derek. I like Carr. He's played very exceptional the last couple of weeks. And I'm a Niner fan saying this, and I've been really respecting Carr's game.
That's how you know it's true.
Yeah. I think he's going to throw at least 2 touchdowns this week, 200 yards. He's been playing really good. Gruden's been really efficient on offense, and those 2 is where it starts. Run the game, ground pound, and then, play action with Carr. So I'm liking those two on that game. And then on the flip side, what was I going to say?
Jets.
My train of thought. Jets. Maybe the only fantasy relevant player, Le'Veon Bell. But Sam Darnold played pretty good last week, given the situation. I think he's kind of a sneaky pick this last couple weeks. He's starting to kind of build something. If you're in a deep league and you really need a quarterback, Sam Darnold's not a bad play. But Oakland's actually played pretty solid defense. So, you take that into consideration. But I actually would start Sam Darnold in a deep league if I needed a quarterback. But I think their only real big-time player is going to be Le'Veon Bell.
Jaguars at Titans. I'm going to say that Chark is going to get 100 and a touchdown. Foles, 2 scores. Actually, I'm going to give him 3. And I'm going to say Fournette has 80 and a touchdown. And then Derrick Henry, I'm going to say, has 110 total yards and a touchdown. And I'm going to leave it, I think I'm going to leave it right there. And next up is Cowboys-Patriots. Rob?
Well, you know how I feel about James White in this one. I think he's going to go absolutely bonk. I'm shying away from Sony Michel, shying away from Rex Burkhead. I think they're canceling each other out. Obviously you got to start Edelman. Very intrigued about N'Keal Harry, but still going to be a wait and see in this one. I'm not trotting him out there with all the confidence in the world, but I'm okay playing Tom Brady as well. And then on the Dallas side of the ball, I get it. It's New England's defense, so you got to temper your expectations across the board. But Dallas's offense has been all systems go. Again, best fantasy football season for Dak Prescott. Got to start Amari Cooper, got to start Gallup, even Randall Cobb. And then Ezekiel Elliott, I get it. Like, you're never not going to start Ezekiel Elliott. So I think enough said on that one.
Okay. Lit, I'll answer the question. There's a lot of questions, but I definitely post what you want me to answer. Let's see, who else said something? Hey guys, since Smitty won't answer, I'll ask you guys, Shepard or Hollywood Brown. Sorry, your question's in that question. Hollywood Brown for me. I know a lot of people like Shepard Lit, but I think that Hollywood Brown I worry about whether he's fully healthy, but I think that he is a guy I couldn't bench right now. And Joey, thank you for the super chat. Thumbs up, guys. Take 2 seconds. Give the show some love with a thumbs up. Look at Joey super chatting to just let everybody know that you need to thumb up the show and help us out. All right.
Thanks, Joey.
Dr. Raj, you there?
Yeah, I got breaking news. George Kittle and Deebo Samuel are going to play, like I've been saying all week.
Yeah, well.
I got to go break this news. George Kittle,
Oh,
I'm telling you.
okay, Green Bay at San Fran. That's your pick right now.
That's it. I got to go.
Okay.
That's it.
Later.
All right, man.
See ya.
Later. Take it easy, man.
Peace, man.
All right. Good night, man. You guys take it easy.
Yep. Dr. Raj has important news to break on his Instagram live. I was giving him the Green Bay at 49ers. It was the second to last game, and I was going to drop that for him. So I guess I'll take over for that. Man, that was bad timing, but good timing. So apparently Deebo and Kittle, he's going to tell you to roll out there. But I will take this over, and I'll say that Aaron Rodgers, probably better that I do it, because I think I'm going to predict that the Green Bay Packers win. And I wish he was here for this, because this was the whole thing, the whole dynamic we had on our last live that we went live together on Instagram. And I pissed off a lot of his followers, but they knew it was good fun. But Green Bay, I think Rodgers has 3 TDs. Maybe he doesn't hit 300 yards, but maybe he does. But like he could get right around there. I think Devontae Adams has 100 and a touch. And I think Aaron Jones has 2 TDs, 1 receiving, 1 rushing. And maybe he only has about 90 total yards, maybe 100 total yards in that. Not 100 rushing, but I think he's that TD machine, man. And I don't think it's going to stop. I love Aaron Jones this year. They love to utilize him near the goal line. He's a touchdown machine. 49ers, I'm going to go ahead and say that they spread the ball around with the running backs. Maybe Coleman's the most relevant. Maybe he has 60 total yards and a score. Deebo, I think, I'll give him 6 receptions for 100 yards and a touchdown. I think he continues to have a good season. And Kittle, we'll say 65 and a score. And that leaves us with Baltimore at the Rams. And that's all yours. The final game of the week, the Monday night game on ESPN. Hit us with some predictions there.
Look, I'm looking forward to this game. Lamar Jackson is having an MVP caliber season. There's no questioning that. I'm excited to see how Hollywood Brown fares against this defense. Even how Lamar Jackson, look, the Rams are an underrated defense. You got Aaron Donald, the disruptor, right? Can he present his force onto this Baltimore Ravens O-line? And, really when it comes down to it, I think that it's going to be about the ground game. Can Mark Ingram get anything going against this Rams defense? And then on the flip side, can Todd Gurley get anything going against this Baltimore Ravens team? I think that's really what it comes down to. I do think that they both have middle-of-the-pack games, maybe 14, 15 fantasy points apiece, nothing crazy. I would like to see Cooper Kupp break out of his shell this week, but I don't think it's going to happen. And I'm fading all other Rams wide receivers as well. No Robert Woods. Cooper Kupp's back this week. I'm fading him as well.
Yeah. Monty, let's see, this question's from Con. Sorry I didn't answer this. It's been on my screen for a while. Monty, Deebo, or Singletary flex half PPR. I'm going to say, as much as I want to go Monty, I'm just not feeling the trust factor right now. But I'm going to say that Debo is safest. Singletary has more upside but more risk, so you got to kind of pick your poison on that one. What do you say, Rob? I'm
going Debo. I'm putting Monty right above him, and then I'm putting Singletary right below him.
Okay.
So it's Monty up top. Debo is the meat in the sandwich, and it's Singletary taking up the bottom slice of bread. But they're all right there.
Yeah. Woods or McLaurin this week? Who are you going?
Oh, God. I can't touch Woods. He's not even back with the team yet. Yeah. So as far as you're concerned, the decision might be made for you. I don't love McLaurin, but I'm going him even if Woods is back.
Yeah. And let's see. MT says, guys, become members of Sleeper U, and Smitty will answer and give you detailed one-on-one advice through the email. It's hard to keep up with everyone's questions. Chat is also good at helping each other as well. Yes, MT, I appreciate all of you that help each other within the chat. Sometimes people get mad and they're like, Smitty's not answering me. Like, I'm really ignoring them. I'm in the middle of speaking on a, like the chat's going like this. and questions get bumped off. You should see it when there's 800 people in here. We only have roughly 80 to 100 and so people at a time right now, and things still move fast enough to where I miss whatever. So it's funny how people take that the wrong way. I'm not ever trying to ignore anybody. Brissett and Alex both asked this question. They said, Smitty, do you know of any lawyers that we can speak with? That's an inside joke because the guy Fred that came into it. Did I tell you the story? The guy Fred that came into the live and he said, hey Smitty, do you know of where I can get any dynasty rankings? And I'm like, how about sleeperu.com? That's like walking into a burger joint and be like, hey, do you know where I can get a good burger around here? So They always drop that line whenever there's something relevant to.
If you do need a lawyer, though, and you're in the New York or New Jersey area, hit us up, thefantasysuits@gmail.com.
Yeah, do that. Definitely. If you need it, if anybody's in New York and you need an attorney, go see this guy. Smitty does his best answering questions, so ask your best one in hopes that he gets to it. Thank you, Ethan. Super chat from Xavier. Pick 2, Jamison Crowder, Tyrell Williams, John Brown, Gallup must win this week, fighting for dear life for a playoff spot. I'm 5-1. I am going to say John Brown. And who would you say is the second one? Again, Tyrell, Crowder.
Yeah. So John Brown, I can't go against that play. I love Tyrell Williams this week. I mean, I'm not a Tyrell Williams fan. I've been kind of fading him when I shouldn't have this season. This week he's got a fantastic matchup, and I think he makes it happen this week. Crowder's not a bad play either. He's a target monster. I mean, he's seeing close to double-digit targets every week, and fantasy football equals opportunity. So still, I'm certainly with you. John Brown, Tyrell Williams, I'll squeeze, then Crowder comes in at third there.
Lit says, Smitty, are you a Cardinals fan? I mean, I am. I'm going to admit to you, that I'm not the diehard, no matter what happens, if they lose, I'm depressed or anything. No. I mean, I live in Arizona, so obviously I'm a fan, and I root for them. But I am fortunately not a fan of any one team to the degree that, I would call them my only team that I follow. And that's a good thing for me because I don't have, a homer-type bias. And I started playing fantasy before I knew much about the NFL in 1992, 93. It all started on Tecmo Bowl. We would draft our teams and simulate the entire season and tally every single week. We simulate week 1 and we all add up our stats to see who won week 1. Simulate week 2, do trades. That's how I started in 1992 when I was a little tyke.
It's crazy how we always get these questions, are you a homer? Do you always go for the Giants players or do you go for this, do you go for that? If you want to be a halfway decent fantasy analyst, you got to separate the bias. And even me, I mean, yes, I'm a Giants fan because my father and my mother, Robert, you're rooting for the New York Giants. It's in your blood. Who do you think you are? That's it. You're a Giants fan. You're a Yankee fan.
Yeah.
Maron, get with the program. But, when push comes to shove, I have Red Zone on. I'm watching all the games.
Yeah.
I'm not just watching the Giants. So I'm rooting for my fantasy team. That's who I'm rooting for week to week. All of them.
And who did you say was the other player for Xavier's? John Brown, Gallup.
And Crowder.
Tyrell Crowder.
Crowder and Tyrell Williams, yeah.
Who did you pick?
So I agreed with you with John Brown. Then I went Tyrell and then Crowder at third.
Okay, if you had to rank. Okay, I'm going to go Gallup and John Brown myself. Crowder's a good play, but I just feel like Gallup would be hard to sit for me. But that's a tough call. But Xavier, thank you for the super chat, my friend. I appreciate you. MT says Smitty's a closet Browns fan. I actually was big on the Browns heading into the year. I admit, my bad. Take a lap on me, bad Smitty. I think the talent's there, but for whatever reason, they're not jiving at all, and I don't anticipate that to change too much. I think they'll get a little better as they go, but man, Mayfield just blows right now. He showed really good promise at the end of the year last year. He played really well considering, his experience level and the change going on. The rapport between him and his coach looked great. Everything was perfectly lined up. They get Odell Beckham Jr. Maybe that's the part that screwed it. I don't know what happened. Chubb's been playing great. Do you
You
think
see it a lot in sports, though. Like you see these super teams get put together on paper.
Yeah.
Remember the Eagles? What was it, like 6, 7 years ago? Nnamdi Asomugha was still playing in the league. I can't even like remember who was on this Eagles team, but it was the dream team. I think Chip Kelly it was his first year out. They were putting together like this monster team, and they fell flat. And it happens in basketball too. Like it's across all sports. Just because a team is great on paper.
Do you think Baker ever becomes the player people thought he was going to be?
I think he can. I think, and you and I spoke about this the last time, I think Freddie Kitchens is mostly to blame here. I think they needed to get an experienced head coach to take the reins, reel in guys like Odell Beckham, like Jarvis Landry, like even Baker Mayfield. I hate to say it. And if they can really structure this organization to provide structure, then yeah. But if they let it run wild, this is what happens.
Yeah. Rob, you need to be on the show more often. Awesome team with you three tonight. Yeah, we might be trying to do this on a semi-regular basis, or at least more often. So we'll have you back on some sort of panel. I've been trying to get him on this week, and there's been some things that have popped up. So I thought, what better way than to pull him on with Dr. Raj? I'd had a 3-panel idea set up, and then one person would cancel, and then I wanted to wait. And I knew that Dr. Raj wouldn't cancel. The only thing Dr. Raj does is he runs off at the end of the show like that when 49er news breaks, and it always breaks in the middle of the night. So
Yeah.
he takes off like a bat out of hell. He doesn't apologize, no need to apologize, but I mean, he's like, I'm gone later.
Well, whoever just said that, he should win the Allen Robinson jersey. I don't even care. Give it to that guy because thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Joey, did you participate? I do have full authority to give it away, right?
I mean, it's your call, brother.
Yeah.
Whoever
I was going to do it at random in the comments, so I'm going to grab somebody. I said I was going to announce it today, but I thought maybe I'll just wait until Monday to do it when we have more people that can see it. But courtesy of this guy right here, we're giving away a signed Allen Robinson jersey.
We'll do more too. I mean, Frank, my co-host, and I are constantly searching these auction websites to try and get pretty decent deals so that we can give them out and build our brand and build exposure. And there's nothing better than partner up with good people like Smitty so that way we can collaborate and mesh. And, I think him and I jive relatively well. I think him and I are both very like-minded. We have our opposing views as well, but that's what makes for a good show. So, that's what it's all about.
Alex says he needs to take a lap for drafting David Johnson. It depends where you draft him. If you drafted him outside the top 6 or 7, then I think, like at 8, 7, I think you don't deserve a lap. But I don't own any shares because I didn't like how high he climbed. I liked him when he was, if people remember, I do fantasy football all year long. Like literally January when the Super Bowl hasn't even happened, I'm cranking out tons of 2020, or I will be 2020 content. And people don't realize that in January and February, David Johnson was like an end of the second round type player. That's where his ADP was looking. And he climbed up. And I liked him. I have a lot of content on him. Hey, pick him up at second round value. It's a steal. Once he climbed into especially with the Zeke holdout, and people were actually taking this guy before Zeke Elliott just because Elliott was going to maybe miss a game. I was not on board with that. But if you drafted him at 7, something like that, dude, you couldn't have seen the way that it unraveled. You couldn't have seen that coming.
I actually have David Johnson, and I have one share of David Johnson. I took him at 6 because he fell to me. I did take Chase Edmonds, so I insured my pick at the end of the draft. It is, a keeper league. We get to keep 3 each year. There was no seeing this happen, just like you said. I mean, the first few weeks he was fine. He was great. Everything was going according to plan. And then, for him and for the handcuff to both be injured, for them to bring in a guy from elsewhere who takes over even when he's back but not fully healthy, it's a weird situation. You can't blame yourself for something like that. You really can't.
Pick 3, Fournette, Monty, Samuels, Tevin Coleman.
Oh, God, I hate putting Tevin Coleman as the odd man out, but he's the odd man out here for me.
Okay, Tevin Coleman, yeah. I start Fournette, Monty, Samuels as well, so we're in agreement. There you go, Omar. Go get him. I had
Tevin
Dalvin
Coleman
Cook
this week, but it's just difficult.
I had Dalvin Cook in my top 5 pretty much the whole August and July, and talked about that in a little bit in June, and that he was a monster steal. I actually did a video before he turned it on at the end of last year when he was coming back from injury, and I was like, this is a guy that can win you a league. this is a guy that's going to be a top 5 running back. I got a lot of heat for Dalvin Cook. Now everybody acts like they saw that coming, but he was in my top 5, and he's been proving me right. I've hit on a lot of things, and I've missed on a lot of things. We all have, but there have been a lot of the bust predictions have worked out well. I was down on Cup, that didn't work out well, but I've been down on Mixon, like a bunch of guys that haven't done well. I have missed on like Darrell Henderson. I was really high on, and I feel like I've missed on that not necessarily because of talent, but because they just haven't committed. David Montgomery, Devin Singletary, I've been huge on, but everybody I think can see that the talent's there. It's been misuse of those guys. Todd Gurley, I was my biggest bust of 2019, and he is looking decent right now. But I predicted that if they ever give him enough work, like they did last week, and like they're probably going to moving forward, he's going to get hurt really fast. But he has not earned anywhere close to where people were drafting him at the tail end of August and into September. He was creeping back into like 11 to 14, 13 overall. So,
and I think that's really the point to be made there, is that given his draft equity, where people were taking him, he hasn't been the Todd Gurley of 2018 or of years past. Let's get real here. Your call was not entirely off. It's just that, he still put up, 10, 11, 15 fantasy points on these given weeks.
Who's your biggest miss? I'd say the two of my biggest, I didn't give them credit, were Cooper Kupp and Lamar Jackson. I'll admit that. Lamar Jackson, I doubted quite a bit, and everybody's saying, the people that were fans of him saying he could be a top 5, 10 QB this year, I'm like, borderline 10. But man, the guy, if heading into 2020, would you consider taking him in the top 20 overall?
And I don't take quarterbacks early typically, but if I was to take a quarterback early, because you should never limit your draft strategy. Always have a plan, never have a set in stone strategy. Definitely taking this dude. Absolutely. If he fell to me at my value, like where I valued him, I would absolutely take him, because look at what he's doing. He's winning people leagues this year, and he'll probably do it again next year too.
Yeah, I keep telling people it's, I think, bad advice. Anybody gives people this advice, I think it's bad. You don't draft a QB early. You just don't do it. You're going to be at a disadvantage. I think it's the craziest talk in the world. There's so many ways to win. If you're good at landing wide receivers late and running backs late, then you can get that breakout where that person is taking their QB. So if someone's saying, I'm going to wait, it's moronic to say you can't dominate by taking Lamar Mahomes at the tail end of the second round and landing your sleepers. It's also important to say, on the flip side, it's a great strategy to wait as well. If you are good at landing Mahomes and Lamar, who were two of those QBs that you did get late if you waited, but you have to be good at that. You can't just say, if everybody's good at drafting a QB late and not good at, you're going to have different skill sets and different draft strengths as a fantasy owner. Not everybody's going to be good at every single facet of the game. So if you're good at landing something like that, you need to do things that cater to your skill set as a fantasy owner. So know yourself, and if you are good at landing QBs late more often than not, and I do that pretty well. Like Mahomes was my elite breakout for 2018, and I owned him in like every league. And so I cleaned up on any league. In a lot of leagues where I took a QB a little bit early, I still had him and I had trade value. So I just think the best advice to give anybody on this topic is do what you do well and don't listen to the noise, whether it's waiting or not waiting. Absolutely.
Kind of think about it like this, right? That's like saying everybody who invests in a high-risk stock is going to go bankrupt. Or everyone who plays it safe with their stocks is going to do very well. There's no way to make that work. People who say wait to draft a quarterback are giving you a foundation. They're giving you a blanket rule that doesn't apply to every single situation across the board. It's a baseline. It's for people who are going into a draft and they're not really sure how to approach it. For people who are a little bit beyond that novice level, which if you're at the novice level, I'm not knocking you, and it probably is best to wait on a quarterback.
Yeah.
But once you get past that, then I think it's really time to start considering draft equity on an individual basis and how players fall. That's how you can be nuanced in your draft and win.
And Joey just made a comment saying Mahomes was the number 2 pick overall in my league and it cost me a running back. All the studs were gone. Well, no one was telling you to take him at number 2 though, Joey. So the whole point is you're taking him early being where his ADP is, and people saying that, oh, don't take Mahomes where his ADP is. His ADP lived in the second round, early third, most likely early second round. So, Joey, unless you're in a 2 QB league or one that rewards 6 points for TDs, there was no reason to take Mahomes in the first round, even if I love him. Even Lamar, I love Lamar, but as you heard us talk about, second round, tail end of the second round is where Lamar is going to fall, and where Mahomes is going to fall next year. So taking him in at number 2 overall was just way ahead of his ADP. So that's definitely taking him way too early, and that's coming from a guy that says don't.
From 2 guys.
Yeah, 2 guys. Smitty is a novice, says Ben. Really, Ben? I'm new to this.
Me too. Don't worry.
I'd love to be a novice. You know why? Because that means I'd be young and I'd be ready to just rip off another, my first 16 years. I'd love to start over and have my first
Hungry
16 years. So I wish I was a novice, Ben. And I do have my pimp cane right here. I always keep my pimp cane on me.
Own it proudly, baby.
No cash sound tonight, Brissett, because my soundboard doesn't work real well with Skype for some odd reason. All right, that does it for us. Devlin has a quick question. Should I drop David Johnson and A.J. Green? Depends on the situation, man. I mean, we could say yes or no, and if we don't know your situation, it's hard to give that advice. But in general, I would say A.J. Green, probably safe to drop. I imagine there are better options on waivers. David Johnson, I would probably wait and see if it was me.
Blanket statement, I'd say yes to both. Check your league, check your roster construction. Try not to. That's really the goal here. I mean, if you need to, do it. But I can't see myself starting David Johnson again week 16 in the championship and feeling really good about it. So if you feel the same way, then I think it's pretty safe to say you can drop him at this point.
And Jason with a super chat. Thank you, Jason. Pick 2 PPR: Samuels, Carson, Singletary, Coleman. I think Samuels and Carson are very safe. I love Singletary, but Samuels is going to be, I don't know. I wouldn't say, okay, so lock in Carson. I think Samuels is safe, but we've seen that before where, a guy walks in with, it looks like guaranteed production, but in an offense, and I think this happened to Samuels in one of his starts, where it doesn't equate to, fantasy dominance just because he's getting a ton of work in a bad offense. Singletary has more home run ceiling, but a little bit more risk because the volume is not guaranteed. So it's like a pick your poison thing again. If you like dice rolling, go Singletary with Carson, but if you want safe, go Samuels with Carson. What say you?
I agree completely. Carson to me is relatively matchup proof. He's proven as much. As far as the other 2 guys, which is what it boils down to. Jalen Samuels has the way better matchup. Devin Singletary is going to be a little bit of an uphill battle, but I'm with you. Samuels would be my next pick, and then Singletary kind of rounds out the third. But, listen, if you're feeling like you got the Gastaniolis to take that home run hitter, go for it. But, yes, Samuels and Carson, certainly.
Brissett's dad, what is your question? I will read it. You're just joking. God, he always gets me. He said, Smitty ignored my last question. He's making fun of everybody else. Ben says, Rob, if you ever come to Michigan, I skipped my court date and need a lawyer for a public intox. Thanks.
Ben, I got you, bro, but I'm not licensed in Michigan. So there's not much I can do unless I got everything moved to New York and you came out to visit, which you're always welcome. So
yeah, don't do that public. Hit me up. Public intox in any other state than New York.
Truth. Very, very true.
Okay, last question, and then we're out of here. I'm starting Aaron Jones, pick 2. More to start with him. Goddard, Ben Watson, Jamal Williams. Goddard, I guess.
Yeah, it's dog food and cat food again. I'm going Goddard because the Eagles don't have any other wide receivers. He's in the doghouse if we're talking animals because he did, have some boneheaded plays, but he's one of the only guys catching the balls for Philadelphia over there.
Shepard or McLaurin?
I'm going McLaurin just because I don't trust Shepard out of his concussion protocol, even though he is active.
I agreed. I agree. Brissett's dad, trade away David. No, he's joking around. Brissett. All right, we're out of here. Thank you for showing up. MT says the YouTube video from Smitty shows how to trade and get up in the first round pick. Yeah, so I do a video. I do some fantasy football training and like how to trade and all that. And I do what's called kicking the can down the road, where you can literally acquire 3 first rounders. And it doesn't work in every league. You got to do it in a league where they're friendly. People are trade friendly. But literally trade your second and your like 4th. Sometimes you can get away with trading like your 2nd and 5th for first rounder or whatever. Then trade your 3rd and your 4th if you have those 2 left for another first rounder. You literally have 3 first round picks. Then what you do is you kick the can down the road. So if you have your 2nd, your 3rd, your 4th, and your 5th gone, but you have 3 first rounders, you're really only out 2 picks. But you got to do 2 for 1, because if you don't do 2 for 1, you're not going to entice that person to give up such a big deal. They want to be, you got to like wow them, by giving them 2 for 1. Literally make them feel, oh my God, I can't pass on this. But you're out 2 picks. So you have three picks, but you're losing. So you got your first rounder, your second rounder, and your third rounder all in the first round. So your 4th and your 5th rounder are missing. You have this void. So now you trade your 6th and your 8th to get like a 3rd or a 4th. Then you trade your 7th and your like 9th or whatever to get another 6th. Then you trade your 6th and your 11th and 12th to get another 5th. But you're kicking the can down the road so far that you literally have like your first 6 picks within your first 6 rounds. And then when you start getting into that void where you literally don't draft for like 6 rounds in a row, you're talking about like waiver wire almost material guys anyway. And anybody that's done it, because people like to say, you can't do that. I couldn't do that in my league. But if people follow the video and you offer enough trades to people, like you literally send out 12 to 15 trade offers per piece of this. And then you eventually not only get people hating you in your league, but no one will trade with you any further at that point because they've seen you do this. But they'll make fun of you. You'll get a lot of like hate on it. But you'll literally draft like the best team you've ever drafted. So it's a fun trading technique that I have on that, but that's what he's referencing. We are out of here. We'll have Rob, the fantasy football attorney, on with us again shortly. And join me, guys, tomorrow morning. 1 hour before kickoff, we'll be live here on youtube.com/The Fantasy Football Show. Subscribe if you haven't. Hit the thumbs up on your way out. Wipe your feet. Be polite. And if you haven't followed Rob over on Instagram, go to Instagram
at Fantasy Suits.
Yep, Fantasy Suits, at Fantasy Suits, and you can go to fantasysuits.com, I imagine, as well.
Correct.
And you can look up their podcasts on pretty much any platform. And good luck to everybody. Thank you, Rob. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it, as always.
Yeah. And thank you, guys. Later.